full screen. There you go. That's better.
Okay. Well, then I can. But if I go here, can I still see everybody? I can.
Hello, everybody. This is Robert Alvarez from Avanti Law Group.
Unmute.
Oh, no, because they pick you up on yours.
Oh, they can hear it on mine?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because you're on mute, right?
I'm unmuted, yeah.
Okay. So this is Robert Alvarez, and I got my paralegal Claudia here. We're going to do walk you through the training here real quick. But apologize for yesterday. We had some technical difficulties. I think we figured it all out now. I am also live on TikTok, so that's fun.
Okay, I think I've added more people. Okay. Do we want to wait the extra minutes?
Because we're going to wait.
Okay.
Yeah, we should wait. We are a little early. We're going to start probably around 12:32. Give everybody time to log in. And we are recording this, so I might run it again later for others.
I'm going to share it with my husband and my sisters.
Awesome. All right, good. So they can hear us. I love it.
Yeah, because it's just online. Everybody's muted and I don't know.
Gotta get a different tripod. I don't like this one.
What's wrong with that one? What's wrong with that one?
The instead of it being a magnet.
Oh, it's the. There's more people. I don't know what I'm going to say.
Let me see if I can flip the camera around. Or actually, could be able to do it like this.
You're MacGyvering over there.
Trying to figure out the best way to do this here. Oh, look at that. That works. Hello, everybody. This is Robert Alvarez. For those joining me on TikTok, this is Lovable ESQ, and I'm here with my awesome paralegal, Lovable Paralegal.
The fact that this is my life is crazy.
We're doing a training for paralegals and attorneys and really anyone that wants to learn how to file a habeas petition in federal court. We're just going to walk you through the e-filing system because it can be a little bit intimidating if you've never done it before. We'll get started here in about 5 to 7 minutes or so. We're going to give everybody some time. We have a question from Gabriela. Would we be able to get the recording of this afterwards? Probably. I'm not super tech savvy, but I am recording it. So if I or Claudia can figure out where the recording is, we will figure out a way to probably upload it to YouTube or something, or a private group so that everybody can follow through.
I want to be on YouTube.
Yeah, well, we'll figure out a way to do it. It'll be with a link only. And if you guys have any questions while we're here, I can answer questions on all things habeas. Oh, Lord help us. I can answer questions on all things habeas. So feel free to ask your questions. and I will respond as we're going through this with Claudia. Ooh, hello, my friends on TikTok. Thank you for joining us. Please like and share. We're going to be going through and helping people that have never filed a habeas petition in federal court with the PACER ECF system. We're going to go through that and give everybody a quick training on how to do that. It's a little funny because the petition, the way that the courts have this set up. So we're going to try and guide people through this process to make it a little easier for them.
And it's just a petition, right?
Yeah, it's just a petition. We'll do one with a reply once we have a reply ready to go. We had 2 replies that we filed yesterday, but we were having technical difficulties, so we couldn't do anything yesterday. But we will do another one with a reply and maybe also with a motion to compel. Mac has a question. Have you filed a motion to enforce? Looking for tips on that. Okay, so Mac, so here's the thing. In habeas litigation, you can file a motion to enforce and or a motion for an order to show cause if you believe that the government isn't following what the judge ordered. The problem is, and we've confirmed this not just with the AUSA, but with the courts, the problem is that if you file a motion in a habeas case, it's going to go through the normal process that they have. And that process, depending on your court, can take a while. So it's not typically something that's going to result in an immediate action by the court. So plus, if you want to file a motion to compel because, for example, they had a bond hearing, but it was a farce. It was one of those kangaroo type of actions, and it was denied. The bond was denied for flight risk, when obviously that is nothing but a pretext. Then the best course of action, then best practice, is to file a second habeas that would trigger the habeas protocol with the court. Besides, it is a second constitutional violation if they haven't properly given your client due process in the way they conducted the hearing. Now, understand that the federal court is not going to get into whether the immigration judge made a correct decision based on the factors. You're going to have to argue that it was a retaliatory, arbitrary denial of bond and pretextual. So you can't argue that the factors were incorrect. What you need to argue is that, listen, the judge, the only reason that the administration is denying bonds for flight risk is because of the fact that he filed a habeas petition. Because otherwise, he would have been granted bond. And so it's one of those really fine line kind of arguments, because you have to stick to it's a due process violation, especially in the Fifth Circuit, as you all know now. What time is it? 12:30. Okay, we're going to give everybody a couple more minutes to join, and then we'll go ahead and get started, because we did have this set up for yesterday, and I know there was a lot of interest, but we had some technical difficulties, so I apologize for that. And we will have another training now that we can do this. Now that I figured out how to technologically do this, we will have some more of these trainings probably once a week, just so that we can give everybody the opportunity. Oh, can we have
para que puedas ver lo del Habeas?
Okay, y ya me mandaste el link.
Sí, a tu texto.
Okay, bueno.
Okay.
Can we have you all mute, please, on Zoom? Oh, thank you.
I'm muting.
Okay, perfect. We will get started here shortly, And again, like I said, we're going to try and do this once a week, where we guide everybody through a habeas filing, either the petition and or a reply. Huwal Midi, hello and thank you for your time. When appropriate, I would like to ask a question about executing the summons. Okay, so
That's fun.
while we're waiting, because I'm going to give everybody a couple minutes here. So, Huval, for executing the summons, you really have to check with the court in which you're filing, because every court does it differently. For example, and apologize for my voice, I'm coming down with something now. But here in the Western District of Michigan, we actually don't have to do anything with the summons, and there is no summons that's even issued. In the Western District of Michigan, when you file the habeas petition, the clerk themselves have a protocol where they serve the U.S. Attorney's Office, and then the U.S. Attorney's Office is served by the clerk of the court, and we, the petitioners, don't have to do anything. On the east side of the state, in the Eastern District of Michigan, you can request a summons, but typically the best practice is you reach out to the AUSA's office, and they usually have one or two people that are assigned to these habeas filings, and then you negotiate with them, or you work out with them a stipulation for when they will file their response, and then they will file that stipulation acknowledging service and indicating when they will be filing their response to your habeas petition. Now, other courts, as I understand it, other courts do require that you go through all of the steps of serving the agency, serving the AUSA, and that is, I think, counterproductive and counter the spirit of habeas, but every court does it differently. So best practice is find out in the court that you're filing, call the clerk and say, hey, what is your protocol? What do you guys expect from us when we file these habeas petitions? What's the quickest way that we can get things going? Now, hopefully, most of you are lucky enough to have a court like ours here in the Western District of Michigan that will do pretty much everything for you. But if not, then you're going to have to go through their protocol, and I wish you luck.
It also depends on the judge.
Oh, yeah. That's
so, true. Again, because when I was filing in the Eastern District, I tried to figure everything out, like how to serve this, how do I do this? And all the things I found, it was saying that the judge will review the petition and then he issues an order stating what needs to happen. So again, it just depends on the judge as well. Like you said, Western District, we submit it and they take care of everything. But in the Eastern District, I guess they had a different way of doing it. And then it could also depend on your judge. So,
all right. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. We are at 12:34. And just to reiterate, this is a training on how to e-file a habeas corpus petition in federal court. We are going through the PACER CM ECF filing system. My lovely paralegal here, Claudia Castañeda Gonzalez, otherwise known on TikTok as Lovable Paralegal. Please find her and follow her.
If you're going to be promoting me, my name is Gonzalez Castañeda.
Oh, well, sorry. I got the name. I got them at least. I got them in there. Not in the right order.
Not in the right order, but.
So, Gonzalez Castañeda. Okay, yeah. So, Claudia, take it away. Tell us where you are and how you got here.
So this is our PACER page. I usually just have this saved on a tab. But like Robert says, depending on the district that you're filing, if you search up their main website, you can always find the ECF filing. So let me see. Can you see this page, the Western District? Mm-hmm. So usually the federal courts will have a page for them. And usually if you go to e-filing, it'll take you here and it'll prompt you to log in, but since I'm already logged in, it'll just shoot me over to this page.
Okay. So this is the landing page of the ECF filing system, and this is specifically for the Western District of Michigan, but it is pretty much similar across the board.
Yeah.
So there you go.
So just go to the website for your district, and then after that, you can just search up an e-filing, and you can get here. You also have to have a Pacer login. So if you're admitted, you should have that information, and you just log in here. So then you would hit up here civil, and you would hit open a civil case. So this is it'll go through a bunch of prompts, so you just have to follow them. Usually ours are very standard. What office you pick, you can pick the office. Again, I would just research where your client is and what division they would end up being in. And then, so then here we are in the page for selecting how we identify this case. Sorry, I'm letting some people in real quick. So you would do jurisdiction is always going to be a government defendant, as we are suing the DHS, we're suing the president of the Department of Homeland Security, we're suing immigration.
Pam Bondi sometimes.
Yep. So you would just pick government defendant. And then cause of action, it has all these types of cause of action. You would just pick the one that fits your case. And ours is always 8/11/05 for the habeas corpus release immigration detention. So this just means that the client is in a detention center and we're asking for immediate release, sir.
And it's important that you select the correct one, because like I said, some courts have automatic triggers based on the cause of action that could help you avoid having to request a summons and have to serve it yourself. So it's always a good idea to select the proper cause of action. As far as we know, the cause of action here is that one that Claudia selected, because it is a habeas corpus specifically for those in INS detention.
Yes. So, and if you come to this page, you can scroll, and there's different types of habeas corpuses and different causes of actions you can pick. But we've always picked 8/11/05 as our cause of action. And then the nature of suit would be, again, a prisoner habeas corpus. Again, it states it's a detainee, meaning they're in a facility that they're not being let out. And then everything else kind of just stays the same. We don't really focus on this. It would just be those main three: the jurisdiction, cause of action, and nature suit. And then you would hit next, and it'll take you to this page where you input the parties. So you would input your client's name. They can see that part, right? Okay, perfect. So we would input our client's name. I just usually copy and paste from the petition we're filing, and then you would hit search, and then it says create a new party. So you would just create a party. Then it says right here, party information, gives you all these prompts. When you do this, you want to make sure under role you're selecting the correct role for that. So this is our client, so he would be the petitioner. And then, hold on, it looks like there's some more people I'm gonna let in real quick. So you would pick petitioner, and then I always just put our office address.
Yep.
You don't, since we're representing them, if anything happens, the information will come to our address. So you could just put your office address, and so far we haven't had any issues. So you hit add party, and then it shoots it over here. You just want to make sure that, again, the name is spelled right and the role is correct. Then you would have to add the rest of the parties. So we have Kevin Raycraft. Search. And as you can see, a lot of people have also sued him. So we just select one of those. And as far as I know, in the Western District, just having his name is fine, but maybe in other districts you do need to put in his official capacity as acting field officer of immigration or their official title. So again, like Robert said, it just depends on your court. This is how we do it here in the Western District. So far we haven't had any issues. And then for this one, you want to make sure you select the correct role for him, and he would be the respondent. Like Robert said, serving the habeases and executing summons. Again, it just depends on your court. I don't put the address because they usually take care of it. But if your court requires that, you can find where they're located and just input that information in here, the office address and everything like that. If you have any phone, definitely input it here. But
if your jurisdiction requires, or if your court requires that you issue a summons and you do service, you're going to have to put all that information in here.
Luckily we don't have to do that, so we just put his name and then we move on to the next one, which is Noam Christie. And then, like I said, we just go with their first.
Go ahead and select one of those other ones that say Secretary of the U.S. or in her official capacity.
In her official capacity,
just so we can see the difference.
Yeah. So it would just say this. It's just the party information that the court is going to use to create the case caption and everything for their system.
Yeah. So it doesn't automatically fill in all the rest of the information just because one of those is already selected.
Sometimes it does.
That's just the naming of the individual and how it's going to appear in their system in the court.
Actually, sometimes it does. So like this is a party that's already been created or has already been sued. So sometimes the information is on here. So let's, I think we can.
So sometimes it populates?
Yeah. So let's see if we can find one that populates. And sometimes I think the court consolidates them just because everybody's suing them. So see, like it'll say Office, Department of Homeland, Washington, D.C., U.S. of A. So we could do this one and we should be okay. But yeah, so if a party's already been sued and that information's inputted, the court kind of just keeps it until they get sued again.
Awesome.
And then, so we got Christy, Kevin. Our next one is the Department of Homeland Security. Oh, and then I got this is where. So right here, as you can see, I forgot to change her role where it says DFT, that stands for defendant. So you would just click on the little pencil and edit it. So she is a respondent. So we would go here. And you just want to make sure that those the roles are correct, or you're gonna have to call the court. And honestly, I think that's embarrassing, but it happens. It's okay. They'll help you out. There's nothing wrong with, you do these so fast sometimes that you mess up a little bit. Our court's really nice and they'll always help us, but we just, want to make sure that the roles are correct. And then we just picked the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, select a party, select a role. Where are you? There we go. And then I think we've added Pamela back onto our.
Yes.
Okay.
We've added Pamela Bondi back.
So for a period of time, we weren't suing her, but now we are.
Yeah, we are taking a different tack now. We are requesting in our habeas petitions that all of our petitioners be immediately released. We are attempting to argue that because of the fact that most immigration judges now are denying bond hearings based on flight risk and various information that we obtained, including, I believe, an affidavit from a recently retired immigration judge. We're arguing that due process requires the court to simply order petitioners' release rather than having them face the immigration judge, who at this time is maybe not following due process for whatever reason in the bond hearings.
Okay, so I'm just admitting some more people. So as you can see, again, this one auto-populated. So if in your district that information's filled out, that's always fun. I don't have to do it myself. And then we just make sure Attorney General.
So Mac has a question. Do you request immediate release and in the alternative a bond hearing? I mean, yeah, you definitely want to in the alternative, but we've now tailored our petitions to stress that we are really pushing for immediate release above everything else.
So then you would from our petition that we're filing today, these are the only people, these are all of our parties that we have. I get really paranoid, so I just double check everything one more time before I hit create a case. So we have our client, he's a petitioner, Kevin is going to be a respondent, Christy is a respondent, the Department of Homeland Security is a respondent, and Pamela Bondi is a respondent. I also always just double checked our client's name is spelled correctly, just because I get paranoid. So after that, after you've input all your parties and have all the information and it's to your liking, you would just hit create case. And then it'll just make sure, are you sure? Yes, we're sure. And then it'll generate a case number for you.
Good idea, like Claudia's doing, to write down the case number in case you need it later. I mean, it's going to pop up, but it's always a good idea to just write it down and have it handy.
Mm-hmm. Because sometimes I think it'll happen here. Sometimes if I take too long to file something, it'll like just log me out and I gotta log back in. So it's good to just have that on your on hand. So I'm gonna so if after that you can go to docket lead event. So it'll take you straight away to where you need to go. So you would file where you need to file a petition. I do have a few people. Okay, new people. So we're like in the middle of it all, but I'll run by it. I think I can go back. So here you would go to petition for writ of habeas corpus. So you would click that one.
Just for the new people, just so you know real quick, we are going to try and do this once a week just because we've had such a huge demand. I mean, my messenger was full of private messages from people that wanted to have this training for their staff privately. But we're going to go ahead and do this once a week with replies and with habeas petitions. So if you missed the beginning of this, I am also recording it, but we're going to try and do this once a week. Okay, so I didn't know that there was this much demand for it, but we will help you guys out and do this once a week.
Yes. So you hit docket lead and it takes you here, and then you pick what you want, which is the petition for writ of habeas corpus, and you hit next. And then see, it auto populates it for you, but sometimes, like I said, it doesn't. So you just want to have that case number on hand for you. And then you hit next, and then this is where you would submit the actual petition. So you would pick you would select your main document, which is the petition, and then the exhibits. If you have exhibits, we sometimes have exhibits and sometimes we don't. So if you do, you would just have to put it under attachments, and then you would categorize it, which is your exhibit, and you would label it. Our court specifically wants exhibits to be labeled. So again, I would just review your local rules with your federal court and see how they want things done. I know our court always requires a exhibit cover sheet.
Claudia, do you have to do anything special with the exhibits to get them ready for filing?
Yes. So in federal court, you have to redact personal information. So such as we redact like addresses, phone numbers, social securities, any kids under the age of 18, we redact their name besides their first initials. So their
First and last initial, yeah.
Yep. And then any birth dates, any account numbers. So if you have taxes, I loathe doing redaction for taxes. I like review those like 40 times because I feel like there's a social security number that you missed. It's like at the top of the corner or in a secret spot that you didn't know. So with those, I do recommend like having several people look them over just because you don't want to put
Now, I want to say
private
that
information.
now, when you file a habeas petition, it is confidential and it is not accessible to the public.
Mhm.
But the court rules and the law still require you to have redactions of some of those important numbers and identifying information. So please make sure that you are redacting, because you do not want to end up on the wrong side of a judge who is going to look at it and say, why aren't you redacting? The law says you're supposed to, and the court rules say you're supposed to.
Yes.
So even though the petition itself and the attachments aren't accessible by the public because of the nature of the petition, it's still a requirement that you redact. So make sure you follow the redaction rules, and it can take you a long time to redact. We had one case where we filed, I think,
We filed like 12 exhibits.
12 exhibits.
And 2 of those were over 80 pages of taxes of our petitioner and some guy that was petitioning for him. And it took me 2 days. Our first ever habeas took me 2 days because it was just so much.
Yeah.
But yeah. And then also when you log into Pacer, it prompts you, like it gives you a pop-up. It says, hey, remember to redact. Hey, remember to redact under this. It gives you.
Yeah, that's not a suggestion. That's an order. I mean, that's.
It's a friendly reminder. Do this or you're in trouble. So we're here. You just upload your main document. You upload your exhibits, and then you hit next. And then it does say that you have to pay. So.
Oh yeah, don't forget to pay, guys. I know it's only $5, but believe me, the clerk's office
will not do anything until you pay.
Yeah.
Yep.
And if you don't have a working relationship with them already, they're not going to call you and remind you to pay.
Yeah.
Luckily, we do, and they've called us once or twice already, but we're pretty good about making sure that we get that taken care of.
So then
except when I do it at midnight on a weekend.
That's a morning problem, right?
That's a Monday morning problem.
So then it takes you here to select the filer. You would select your client and you would hit next. And then it says, are you representing? You just leave it, say yes, we're representing him. And then it asks who is this against, and then you would just pick everybody else. Sometimes these buttons don't work. So you would just click one and then hit control and then just highlight the rest, click by click.
Yeah, and make sure that you're selecting the right individuals or the right parties, because trust me, that can also slow things down with the clerk's office.
Well, also before, when I did it one time, it says you can't select plaintiff and defendant against. So sometimes if there is an error or whatever, the system, the ECF system, does a good job to hey, do you want to double check this real quick before you hit submit?
Mac has a question. Mac asks, what type of exhibits do you typically add? Are they similar to what would be included in support of a traditional bond motion? Well, you don't have to, but especially for the first few that we did, the first few petitions that we filed, we had already been denied bond, so we included the bond petition that we filed, the NTA, the I-213, I think it is, or I always mix up those numbers, but we included everything that we could to put it before the court to let them know, hey, listen, we asked for a bond, this is what we submitted, and they denied it, saying that there was no jurisdiction. So it's going to be very dependent on your client's facts, but we always at least include the NTA. So
yes, so that's our cases range from 0 exhibits to everything that we could possibly have. So yes, so then you get prompted to this page where it just asks to modify, just to put a correct title on it. I usually don't do anything because it's a petition for writ of habeas corpus and it was filed by us. I don't really do much with that. This is the this is the final page. Like this is like, hey, you're about to file this. This is it. If you hit next, it's being submitted as is.
Yep. So review it. This is your last opportunity to review to make sure that it says petition for writ of habeas corpus filed by your client with the attachments and who is filing it. So double check, make sure that this is good to go, because once you hit next, you can't undo it.
Can't undo it. And then you have to call the court, and then it's just whatever.
Yep. Go ahead and hit next. Let's see what happens.
Give me 1 second. I'm like I said, I get very paranoid just because it is nerve wracking to file with the court, but I've have a habit of just checking my PDFs, making sure my pages are aligned, and that's my documents are what I am filing. So I'm just checking, and then I hit next, and then this is the part. So our case has been filed.
There you go.
No me metí, pero no digo, chica.
Oh, you need them.
Yes.
All right. So that is, I mean, I know it doesn't seem like it's very complicated, and it's really not. It's just one of those things where if you're not used to the system, it's a good idea to be able to have a way to someone that can guide you through it. There is a training. They do offer a training through the court, and I think you actually have to take a training to be able to get your ECF number and everything. But I think most of us attorneys leave that mostly to our paralegals. I did take the training many years ago.
Yeah, want to know a fun fact? I found out about the training 3 years into being his paralegal. I was like, what do you mean? Like, I had several calls from the court, and it was just, I learned as I went. I do want to show really quickly. I won't do it just because I don't think Robert wants his credit card information out there. Here, under fees, it will prompt you to make a payment, and then you would just hit filing fee habeas. And then again, it auto-populates the case number for you, and then it just takes you through. It says right here that it's going to take you to a different screen. You just hit next, and then you would select who's paying it, we're paying it, and then I think I can go through all this, and it selects what document that the payment is going towards to, and then it says $5. And then it takes you here, and then I have to input information for Robert, and then we just pay it.
Yep.
And then that's that.
All right. Well, so listen, so that was pretty much it. We are gonna, like I said, I'm gonna try and have one of these once a week. For anybody that wants to join, we'll probably do it next week, Wednesday again as well, unless I have a deposition or something. But I will post it on Nerdy. If you want your paralegals or assistants, or even if the attorneys want to follow through on how to do this, because I've had to do this on the weekend, and it can be nerve-wracking when you're not used to doing it yourself anymore. So please feel free to join. I am recording this. I don't know where I'm going to share it, because obviously we don't want it, floating around everywhere. But at the very least, for right now, we're going to try and have one of these once a week. If you guys have any questions during these sessions, you can definitely ask them. I have filed dozens upon dozens of habeas petitions in the last few months. And we do have our habeas class action that we are currently litigating here in the Western District of Michigan. So I know a little bit, enough to be dangerous to the government at least. Brenda Santos has a question. Excuse me, when you file a habeas petition, do you include both the petition form and the supporting brief, or just the brief? That's a good question. Honestly, Brenda, what we do is we include our petition is basically our brief. We include, how many pages is it?
24 pages.
Yeah, so our petition is 24 pages, and we make all of our arguments within the petition itself. You are going to get the opportunity to reply to the government's response. The government will file a response in a brief form, and so when they do, you will get an opportunity to reply, and so that reply will be in a brief form. Okay.
So I paid for it, so I just want to show them really quickly.
Oh, okay, thank you.
How do I do this?
And believe me when I tell you that you want to include as much information and as many arguments as you can in your petition, because a lot of these, if not all of them, are going to be getting appealed by the government. So you might as well preserve your arguments and have them ready to go for that appeal.
So it'll take so the payment will take you to a different page, and that's when you input your credit card information and stuff. So I just did it off screen, and then it takes you back here. And then again, anything you file with the ECF, it'll always have this final page of like, hey, you're filing this. And it's probably the most nerve-wracking page I always see when I file stuff, because those little red attention letters scare the crap out of me.
Yep.
But then there you go. That's how you pay it. And then that's the reply. That one's a lot easier. I can show them, or
Yeah, just go through it. We
one?
don't have one to file, but she'll walk you through it so you can see at least.
And then if your ECF system, which they usually all do, they have a fun search button up here where you can search things that you want to file. So like if you can't find what you're looking for, I was always try to search it and it will guide you. So like if we do, this was like my best friend when I was filing stuff before I took the training. We just type in Habeas Petition. And then it'll show you up. See, like it'll even show you how to get there, like civil events, initial pleading service, complaints, and other initiating documents. So like if sometimes you can't find it or whatever, I always try to go to the search button and see what it'll give me. But for replies, you would have to go to other answers. And then we were doing it wrong for the longest time. It was very funny.
And I will say that this is again something that you might need to check with the clerk of your court, because every court has their own. This isn't a universal system, so in different courts they have different ways that they want you to file stuff and different events that they want you to categorize them on. So at least here in the Western District of Michigan, and I believe in the Eastern District of Michigan, it's the same, but you're going to want to check with your clerk of court as to what event you have to select to file the reply.
I think for this one, we were filing it for the longest time as a response to a non-motion. And then I think
it was a response to an answer.
Yeah, or something like that. And then I think I have to go through it, and it prompted me back up to have hey, if you're filing this for a reply to a habeas corpus petition response, please go this way. So we obviously were doing it wrong for the longest time. So
what is it then?
It would be response to answer to complaint / petition. That wasn't there 3 months ago when I was doing this. So again, maybe the courts will adjust to the overwhelming amount of petitions they get. So they'll create something new, but just follow the prompts. And like Robert said, call the court and see how they want you to file this. And you would go here again. You would pick a document. I'm just going to pick this one. I'm just going to pick a random one. Again, if you, so it'll prompt, it's similar to filing the petition. You have a page where it guides you to upload your main document and any exhibits and any attachments you have.
Yeah.
So this is
specifically for filing a reply, just so that everybody's aware and following along.
And then again, it picks the.
Yep. So everything else is pretty much the same after that. It's just the event that you select.
Yep. So then this is the part where you want to say, yes, should this document that you're filing link to another document? And you want to put yes. Anything that is a reply or a response, you want it to connect back to that. Obviously, there's nothing filed in this case yet, but once
there is,
it
usually their response.
Yep, it usually says response of Kevin Raycraft, Pamela Bondi, whoever, and then you would hit next and then just file it. It would prompt you back up to.
Perfect. All right. So does anybody have any questions that we can answer, whether about habeas or about this process in general? Don't be shy.
You can. I think you guys can unmute now if you guys have questions.
Yeah, go ahead and ask away. No? Okay, well, good. Well, listen, thank you all very much. Like I said, we're going to try and do this once a week. So hopefully next week, Wednesday, we'll have another training, and we'll walk through the filing of another petition and maybe a reply. And please keep an eye out if anybody else that you know would like to have this training. Just have them keep an eye out on Nerdy, and I will put in the information again. We'll probably have it again next week, Wednesday, around the same time. All right. Thank you all, everybody. Good luck. Keep up the fight. And let's give them hell.
Yeah.
All right. You want to close out the meeting?